Welcome to another special edition of The Portal. I'm your host, Stephen Jolley. And on today's special segment, we're going to be doing a breakdown of where we think everybody's going to fall into the college football playoffs as of week 3. Each week, we're going to update this segment and see how it changes with the games that we've seen played and where we think teams will progress going into the future. We'll start with the number 12 team on the list. Number 12 will end up being Memphis. I believe that they're going to be the group of 5 representative right now. My preseason pick was Liberty, but I really feel like that the win over Florida State, even with Florida State having such a bad year, is a good, solid Power 5 win for Memphis that they need that would give them just a little bit better resume than Liberty when it's all said and done. So if it comes down to those two teams, I feel like the committee would end up giving a nod to Memphis right now. So as long as they can win out, it pretty much is their destiny to be able to make the college football playoffs as the group of 5 team. Now, number 11 may look very familiar to you. It's going to be the University of Miami. I have them losing in the ACC championship game, but as a 2-loss team, even with their schedule being a little bit weaker than some of the other opponents, I felt when it comes down to the rankings, the committee will end up looking at some of the other games they've played as some big wins that will be enough to get them in over some other teams that were on the bubble. So I have Miami right now as the 11th seed, sneaking in the last team to get into the playoffs. The number 10 seed wound up being USC. I think USC, with their schedule in the Big Ten, they had a really favorable schedule. If you look at it, some of their toughest games are at home going forward. So this is a team that really has control of their own destiny, so to speak, when it comes to getting to the playoffs. They could very easily only lose 1 or 2 games, and I would think that they would slip into the playoffs at that point by doing that. Now, the next team I have on the list is Oregon. If they play to their full potential every week, and we've seen them struggle early in the season, yes, but it was all stupid mistakes, penalties, just turnovers, things they can avoid and get better at as the season goes on. And we've seen Oregon start to do that. So I would have to say that Oregon will come in at the number 9 spot because they will lose in the title game for the Big Ten. Now, number 8 is Tennessee. I think Tennessee's schedule is not going to be as strong as some of the other SEC teams. So if you put them at 2 losses and compare them to other 2-loss SEC teams, they would fit in nicely at number 8. Plus, this is a really intriguing matchup if you end up getting Tennessee and Oregon in the first round. It would be fun to watch. Now, at number 7, we would have Georgia. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, in the preseason, you had Georgia going undefeated. Right now, I think Georgia is playing good football. I think their defense is still one of the best. Question mark is wide receiver. Do they have anybody who's going to be able to step up and really be a difference as a wide receiver for them? I mean, they're really missing Brock Bowers right now. Etienne's putting in a lot of work. If you watch the game against Kentucky, I mean, Etienne was a superstar for Beck and really gave him the ability to make plays when they needed to. But they need some wide receivers to step up if they're going to win a game like the one coming up against Alabama. And speaking of Alabama, I have Alabama number 6. I think Alabama wins the game against Georgia next week. And these two teams will have similar paths and trajectories after that. If you look at their schedules, they both play some tough games after that. It's going to be some battles where I think both Georgia and Alabama come out with 2 losses. I think Alabama obviously will be ranked higher in the polls because they were beaten Georgia early on in the year. So that will be a factor that the playoff committee will keep them ahead. Now, number 5, Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss losing in the SEC title game, and they would end up getting this spot even after they lose the SEC title game because basically to get into the SEC title game, I had it as a 3-way tie right now. Just looking at going ahead onto what the schedules will be for the teams that I think will make it there. I think right now it could be a three-way tie, and I think that the loser of that is Alabama. And because of that, Ole Miss gets the fifth spot because they did not get to play in the SEC Championship game, and they'll actually have a better record possibly. So in that scenario, I would have 3 teams with a good record, but only 2 teams can play in the SEC title game, and whoever doesn't go would fit perfectly in the number 5 spot. And now we go to the final 4 seeds. And these are the guys that get the bye weeks because they won their conferences. And who do we have winning their conferences? Well, we have Clemson winning the ACC. We're going to have Oklahoma State winning the Big 12. Texas wins the SEC in their first year. And Ohio State ends up winning the Big 10. And in fact, right now I have Ohio State going undefeated, as I don't see anyone on that schedule who will be able to beat this team. And they'll continue to roll through that Big 10 schedule until they hit the playoffs. Now, let's talk about how these 4 became the seeds with the bye. Now, for Clemson, I had them at number 4 on the seeding because I feel like Clemson, after the Georgia loss, is still going to lose a game within ACC play. I won't keep them from going to the ACC title game, so they'll end up being a team that will be 4th in comparison to the other teams from the other conferences. Now, Oklahoma State is the 3 seed. I have them that way because right now I feel like they have a strong chance at going undefeated if they can beat Kansas State. I think Kansas State is going to probably be one of the toughest games they play, and it's going to be a dogfight for them. Fortunately for them, Utah, with Cam Rising going down and being out for weeks, that could be a blessing for them as well. Just depends how early he comes back, how effective he can be when he comes back. You know, that's a real question mark. And whether or not they put him on another medical red shirt. So with those question marks, right now we have to deal with what we know. Right now, Utah without Cam Rising, I feel their stock is dropping. So therefore, I would take Oklahoma State as a team that I think can play the best football and win the Big 12. Now, the number 2 seed, Texas. I have them winning the SEC in their first year. They play Georgia at home. That's a huge advantage for them. And if you look at some of the other teams' games on their schedule, it's really set for them to be able to play those tough games at home and be able to go ahead and get some good quality wins that will end up putting them as the top team from the SEC. And then, of course, the 1 seed overall is Ohio State. With their schedule, the only team that I think will give them fits is Oregon. That is a tough game for them going on the road, but I don't feel that right now Oregon is balanced enough to be able to beat a team like Ohio State. Ohio State has a 2-headed running game that is probably one of the best in the country. They're basically a team that's built almost like Michigan last year, except they can throw the ball way more effectively than Michigan did. And they have some weapons at that wide receiving core. So this is one of those teams that they can really light it up fast on you. You have to be careful when you play them. I don't see anybody left on their schedule that is going to beat them. I think they're going to go undefeated, which is going to put them in as the 1 seed going into the playoffs. We'll see as the next couple weeks go on, because what we think can always change. I mean, Northern Illinois versus Notre Dame showed us that. What we think can always change. Because right now, I don't see a path where Notre Dame cannot avoid losing another game. And if that's so, I don't see them making the playoffs with these teams coming in. They would be one of the 4 people on the outside looking in. So there you have it. There's the bracket. That's the teams that we have going to the playoffs right now as of week 3. Like I said, every week we're going to be doing these picks and predictions for who's going to make the college football playoffs. Let me know what you think. Or if you agree or disagree with the teams that I put in there, so we can have those conversations and continue them on Twitter. You can follow me at SJolleyACC. That's at SJolleyACC. And you can also join the conversation on Instagram at the CFB Portal. That's at the CFB Portal. And don't forget to hit that notification bell and the like, so that way you can be notified of all the great videos we have to come. And subscribe for future content. Then I'll see you next time in the portal.
Tokyo.